Well, the NFL trade deadline has passed, and we were waiting all day long for the Titans to make some extra moves because we already know they've made a bunch of moves before the NFL trade deadline, but they held off. They said, nah, we're good. And apparently that big fire sale that was going to happen, well, it never happened. It did not happen. The Titans stayed put on Tuesday, and they're going with the team and keeping all the players that they thought would be traded. And this is why you subscribe to the channel. We get you recapped on everything that happens in the Titans world. If it's a trade, if it's not a trade, if it's news, rumors, we got you covered. So go ahead, hit that sub button right now. I really thought that the fire sale was coming because you are 1-8 in the 2025 NFL season. You are pretty much the worst team in the league. Now, after what the Jets did today, they might be the worst team in the league. But your salary cap space is $20 million. The fire sale already begun with Tennessee. You set Draymond Jones yesterday heading to Baltimore. But we saw at 2:51, 9 minutes before the NFL trade deadline, Paul Kuharsky kind of confirmed it and said, no further deals for the Titans. They are finished. And that just it really kind of irked me, disappointed me, because I truly believed that the Titans were going to make more moves. And I think everybody, including reporters like Diana Rossini, Jeremy Fowler, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, they all thought the Titans were going to be more sellers because you didn't make that many moves. You made moves, but specifically you did not go out and make the actual big moves and got the draft picks that you're supposed to get when you do a fire sale. The first trade that happened was a week or two ago, and you sent Jarvis Brownlee Jr. to the Jets for a pick swap. You got a 6th-round pick, and everybody was just like, why are they doing this? This makes no sense whatsoever because you could have got so much more for that pick. You could have got so much more, but it was just a pick swap. And then the latest one, you sent Roger McCreary to the Los Angeles Rams and a 6th-round pick for a 6th-round pick swap, and it's a conditional 5th-round pick. If he plays good enough, it could turn into a 4th-round pick. But then you had the trade yesterday, which was, all right, this is going to start because you saw 2 moves happen, and then you saw this move happen yesterday night. And Draymond Jones was the edge rusher that was actually pretty solid for the Titans, has 4.5 sacks in 4 games, and you kind of just shipped him away all the way to the Ravens, who needed some defensive help, and you got a conditional 5th-round pick that also could turn into a 4th-round pick. But if you look at all those, a 6th, a 5th, that's 3 extra draft picks. Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker didn't even rack up the draft picks. You could have gotten so much more, but you chose not to. And at this point, when you're 1-8 on the season, your entire year is over, and your entire rest of the season should be, hey, we are going to specifically build and develop Cam Ward. That's all that matters. Playoffs are out the window. Get your draft picks, build it up. And I don't understand why they did not do that. I don't understand why they didn't do that. I mean, it's pretty much up to the owner, Amy Adams-Strunk. I think she kind of runs the entire ship over there in Tennessee. But Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker obviously probably have a big impact on what they do. And they didn't decide to do anything today. So I'll ask you guys, are you upset the Titans did not make more moves? They made 3 of them. I think they should have made about 4 of them, or at least make some bigger moves instead of getting a pick swap and a 5th-round draft pick. Go down in the comments section right now. Give me a Y for yes or an Ed for no. With all these moves that they made, it was like, oh, we're sellers. We're going to give away everybody except for Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. Well, you didn't even build for the future because half of the draft picks that are 6th-round picks and 5th-round picks, they don't account to anything. Just doesn't make any sense, man. We'll get to just everything that happened on the trade deadline soon. But before that, I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks, simple to play, people. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. And you're probably wondering, well, how do you play, Brett? Well, first you got to download the app, but then you could choose 2 players and it takes 30 seconds. And if you don't want to do football, you can do basketball. You can do hockey. You can do esports. All those put together. You could also use the flex play, which means you could still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You could double your money even if your picks don't hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season and basketball season. But you got to download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Okay, so this comes from Adam Schefter, and this was after about the trade deadline, and he said there have been 6 trades, tied for third most on any trade deadline. And this is at 2:26. The trade deadline was at 3 p.m. Central Time, so there was more trades that came in. The Saints made a couple trades, traded away an offensive lineman. But there were 10 trades on November 1st, 2022, and 8 trades on November 5th, 2024. And there's more than just 6. There's more than just 6. And you could have been a part of that because everybody was getting active except for a few teams, like the Denver Broncos, like the Atlanta Falcons, like the New England Patriots. None of them made moves, but you were supposed to be in a fire sale. So much for the fire sale. You said, actually, I'm a little nervous to kind of make a move here, and we're going to keep our guys. Well, you know who actually did a fire sale today? The other team that has 1 win in the NFL, and that is the New York Jets. And they sent away their best cornerback, Sauce Gardner, for 2 first-round picks, a 2026 and 2027 round pick, and also A.D. Mitchell. But wait, there's more! They also sent away Quinnen Williams. Their 2 best players on defense, they just shipped off and got a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick. They went fire sale mode. And now with their draft capital in the future, they have all the draft capital in the world. And if you're a Jets fan right now, to be fair, I don't think the Jets are that great, and I never think they do good with draft capital, but you have to do something. And you have 2 first-round picks in 2026. You got 3 first-round picks in 2027. And what did the Titans have? A 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick to show for it. You had other trade candidates that multiple people wanted to call up and get from you. I know that the Denver Broncos were looking for a tight end. I know that multiple teams were looking for a wide receiver in Calvin Ridley. I know multiple teams were looking for Tony Pollard. Hell, the San Francisco 49ers, everybody is hurt. And you're telling me that you couldn't be like, hey, you don't want Arden Key? Come on. Or the New England Patriots could have called up for a running back or an edge rusher. And you didn't trade any of these guys away and got some draft capital? And at this point, I was looking through Twitter, and it just made me believe it's all of Amy Adams Strunk's fault. It's all her fault because she runs the ship and she has the final shots. And of course, being all over Twitter, I see some rumors that are piling around. Now, I don't know if these rumors are true or anything like that, but there was these rumors that she was hesitant to trade with a certain team and a certain head coach. And this comes from Mike Girardi, who is a beat reporter out in Boston. And he said this, that he was told that there has been some conversation league-wide that Tennessee would be unwilling to make deals with New England because of the owner, Amy Adams Strunk. And it continues to think too much about how things ended with her and Vrabel, and they're not inclined to help his new team. And then he said, we'll find out soon enough with the likes of Arden Key, Tony Pollard, and Calvin Ridley available. I kind of believe it, man. We know how petty she is. And her pettiness is the reason why the Titans are what they are. Go and trade with anybody except for a division rival. That is the unwritten rule. You could trade with anybody but a division rival. But they said, nah, we want to be petty. We don't want to build our future. We don't want to help our future. Because Mike Vrabel is not impacting your future whatsoever. What you do in the trade, getting draft capital, is what is going to affect your future. But That's her pettiness. So I'll ask you guys before we get on out of here. Grade Amy Adams Strunk as an owner. Give me an A, B, D, C, or an F. If they make a signing, or if they cut somebody, you know we got you covered. They still got to get, well, they're on the bye week. They're actually on the bye week, a well-needed bye week, but we still got you covered. So hit that sub button right now, and as always, tighten up.